The Civil War, and the birth of the song, the American Civil War, which raged from 1861 to 1865, tore the United States apart in a battle between the Union States in the North and the Confederate States in the South. Families were separated, communities were devastated, and thousands of lives were lost. Amid this turmoil, a song emerged that would become an enduring symbol of hope, longing, and the promise of reunion. When Johnny Comes Marching Home was a ballad that expressed the emotional yearning of families and loved ones for the safe return of soldiers, particularly those fighting for the Union. The song echoed a collective desire for peace and the return of normalcy after years of destruction and grief. The exact origins of the song remain somewhat unclear, but it is believed to have been written in 1863 by Louis Lambert, a pseudonym for the Union Army bandleader and composer Patrick Gilmore. It was created during a time when families had been separated for years due to the war. Soldiers had left home, many without knowing if they would ever return, and the deep emotional toll of such separation was felt across the country. The song was instantly popular, spreading throughout the Union and becoming one of the most recognized Civil War-era songs. Its simple, catchy melody and hopeful lyrics resonated deeply with Americans, and its message of Johnny returning home was a form of solace for those who feared the worst. When Johnny Comes Marching Home is filled with both hope and sorrow. The lyrics are simple but powerful, conveying the joy of a soldier's return, mixed with the long period of separation. The song is written from the perspective of a woman or family waiting for the soldier to come back. In a sense, it also represents the wider experience of the country. The longing for the return of not only individual soldiers, but also the healing of a nation divided. Here is a version of the lyrics to give insight into the sentiment it conveyed. When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah, we'll give him a hearty welcome then. Hurrah, hurrah. The men will cheer, the boys will shout. The ladies, they will all turn out, and will all feel gay, when Johnny comes marching home. The repetitive nature of the chorus emphasized the anticipation, almost as if every repetition was a step closer to the moment of reunion. The joy of his return is symbolized by the community coming together. The men will cheer. The boys will shout, to celebrate the end of the conflict. For families separated from their loved ones, hearing this song played on the streets or in the campfires of Union soldiers brought comfort, a temporary respite from the horrors of war. For soldiers, the song became an anthem of hope, a reminder that there was something worth fighting for, even amidst the chaos. When Johnny Comes Marching Home was more than just a popular song. It became an emotional rallying cry for soldiers and their families. The lyrics encapsulated the personal struggles of millions who had been affected by the war. The idea that a loved one might come home safely was an overwhelming thought for many, and this song voiced those feelings in a way that brought both tears and a sense of optimism. For families, especially women who had to bear the burden of raising children, managing households, and running farms or businesses without their husbands, fathers, or brothers, this song was a fleeting escape from the harsh realities of wartime life. Many families lived in constant fear of the knock on the door, bringing bad news, a letter informing them that their loved one had died in battle or succumbed to disease. The song's hopeful imagery, as well as the association with wartime rallies and celebrations, gave families a sense of control, however small, over the uncertainty. It represented an ideal world, where peace had returned, and everyone could resume their lives in happiness. It gave mothers, wives, and children hope that their own Johnny, whether he was a husband, father, son, or brother, would come marching home again. Though it originated during the Civil War, When Johnny Comes Marching Home became far more than just a tune for the Union cause. Its simple structure, memorable melody, and relatable sentiment made it a perfect anthem for the times. The song was frequently played by military bands, during rallies, and at public events. Even in the Union Army camps, soldiers would sing it around campfires as a symbol of hope and camaraderie. The song also became a symbol of defiance against the Confederacy, uniting the Union soldiers in a common cause. The lyrics that anticipated Johnny's return were a reminder of what was at stake: the survival of the Union and the reunification of the nation. In this sense, the song became a tool of psychological warfare, lifting spirits and strengthening resolve. Though it was often played with cheer and optimism, When Johnny Comes Marching Home carried an undercurrent of grief and sadness. This juxtaposition of joy and sorrow is reflective of the emotional complexity of war itself. Soldiers knew that even if they made it home, they would never truly be the same. The horrors of battle, the constant threat of death, the loss of comrades, the agony of violence left scars that would endure long after the war ended. For families waiting back home, the song symbolized the delicate balance between hope and fear. It is easy to forget that many families never saw their soldiers return. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers died during the Civil War, many never making it home to their families. The emotional gap between the ideal of Johnny's return and the harsh reality that many soldiers would not make it home was profound. This duality, hope for a return that many would never see, was a reality that lingered long after the war ended. Johnny's return. The reality for many soldiers as the years went on, the song's message of hope was not realized for everyone. While some soldiers did return home to much celebration and joy, others came back physically and emotionally scarred. Many soldiers were wounded in battle, and countless others were mentally affected by what they had experienced. In some ways, the promise of Johnny Comes Marching Home was a bittersweet one. For the returning veterans, their reintegration into civilian life was not as simple as marching home. The American Civil War produced a generation of men who were forever changed by the brutality they witnessed. As the years passed and soldiers returned home, many of them struggled with the trauma of war. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, though not recognized as such at the time, was a reality for many. In addition to the physical wounds, soldiers returned to a country deeply divided. Families had lost sons and husbands, and many soldiers came back to find their homes damaged or even destroyed. The war's aftermath left scars that no song could heal. The promise of Johnny Comes Marching Home was only half fulfilled. The other half was about what came after the return, how Johnny would fit back into a world that had moved on without him, despite its bittersweet nature. When Johnny Comes Marching Home remains one of the most famous songs from the Civil War. Its enduring legacy is a testament to the power of music during times of war. The song captured the emotional core of a nation at war and continues to resonate in modern culture. Over the years, When Johnny Comes Marching Home has been covered in many different musical styles from folk to jazz to rock. It has appeared in movies, documentaries, and even as a staple in military ceremonial events. The song's ability to capture both the emotional cost of war and the hope for peace makes it timeless. It is a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made by soldiers and the families they left behind. As long as wars are fought, there will be songs like When Johnny Comes Marching Home. They are more than just tunes, they are emotional expressions that reflect our deepest fears, desires, and hopes. For the families of soldiers, for the soldiers themselves, and for the nations at war. These songs represent the bittersweet dance between the pain of separation and the joy of reunion. And though the world has changed since the American Civil War, the song still echoes in the hearts of those who know the true cost of war.